Commander Jack Fletcher stared at the massive alien vessels through the cracked view screen of the USS Questionable Decisions, a name that seemed increasingly prophetic with each passing moment. "So," he drawled, running a hand through his perpetually disheveled hair, "anyone want to explain how we're the first humans to make contact with an alien civilization? And it's us, the D Squad of the International Space Fleet?" Lieutenant Penny Rodriguez, communications specialist and the only crew member with anything resembling common sense, shrugged. "Budget cuts, sir. All the competent teams were busy with that solar flare situation near Mars." "Perfect. Humanity's first impression will be made by a ship held together with duct tape and wishful thinking." Fletcher gestured at the engineering console where Marcus Wong was frantically trying to stop something from smoking. "Wong, please tell me we can at least broadcast a greeting without exploding." 50-50, Commander, Marcus replied without looking up, slapping what appeared to be actual duct tape onto a panel. "But those are better odds than yesterday." Fletcher sighed. "Navigation Officer Thompson, what's our status?" Dave Thompson, whose qualifications for navigation mostly involved being really good at vintage video games, squinted at his console. "We're directly in their path, sir. 3 distinct vessel types, all absolutely massive. Each one could probably use our ship as a hood ornament." "All right, people, this is it. First contact protocol. Rodriguez, prepare the standard greeting package. The one with all the math and physics demonstrations proving we're intelligent life." "Sir," Rodriguez said hesitantly, "that file was corrupted in the data transfer. All I have is the backup." "Which is?" "A collection of Earth's cultural highlights." She winced. "Specifically the Best of Humanity video compilation that won that global contest last year." Fletcher groaned. "The one voted on by the internet? With all the memes, viral videos, and clips from reality TV shows?" "Yes, sir, that's the one." "It'll have to do. Send it on all frequencies with the universal mathematical greeting sequence." Wong lifted his head from beneath the console. "Sir, there's a problem with the translator matrix. It's defaulting to literal interpretation mode." "What does that mean in non-technobabble?" "It means," Wong said slowly, "that any idioms, jokes, or figures of speech will be translated exactly as stated, not as intended." Fletcher considered this for approximately 2 seconds before shrugging. "What's the worst that could happen?" "Broadcast the message." "No." Rodriguez hesitated. "Sir, the first clip is from that reality show Extreme Chef Throwdown, where the host says his catchphrase." "Just send it, Lieutenant." "That's an order." Rodriguez pressed the broadcast button. Across 3 different alien civilizations' command ships, the first words humanity ever communicated to extraterrestrial life were translated as, "We are going to absolutely destroy you with our secret sauce, and you're going to thank us for it afterward." There was a long moment of silence on the bridge. "Did we just," Thompson began, "declare war on 3 separate alien species simultaneously while also implying we'd force them to enjoy it?" "Yes, I believe we did," Fletcher confirmed, dropping his face into his hands. The alien vessel's weapon systems began powering up. "I should have stayed in advertising," Fletcher muttered. As if on cue, the ship's ancient AI assistant chimed in with inappropriate cheerfulness. "Would you like me to prepare your final mission log, Commander?" "Not helpful, Ada." Fletcher straightened his uniform. "Wong, shields?" "What shields, sir?" "Right, Thompson, evasive maneuvers." "On it." Thompson's fingers flew across his console with the muscle memory of someone who'd spent their formative years dodging digital turtle shells. The USS Questionable Decisions lurched sideways just as an energy beam sizzled through the space they'd occupied. Against all odds, Thompson's gaming skills translated surprisingly well to actual space combat. "We need reinforcements," Rodriguez shouted, frantically sending distress signals back to Earth. Fletcher nodded grimly. "Let them know we've made first contact and subsequent first aggression. Also, somebody get me a drink. If I'm going to be remembered as the human who started an interstellar war, I'm not doing it sober." As their ship narrowly avoided destruction through a series of increasingly improbable maneuvers, news of the encounter spread across Earth like wildfire. The revelation that humanity was not alone in the universe was somewhat overshadowed by the fact that their first interaction had been to accidentally threaten multiple advanced civilizations with destruction via secret sauce. Political leaders, military commanders, and civilian experts scrambled to form a response team, but by the time any decisions were made, the USS Questionable Decisions had already managed to both escape the initial confrontation and to inadvertently insult the aliens' ancestral breeding practices through a miscommunicated apology involving a popular dance meme. Humanity's grand entrance onto the galactic stage couldn't have gone worse if they'd planned it. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the Galactic Council, a governing body representing over 300 space-faring species, convened an emergency session to discuss the alarming new threat known as humans. 3 days after the secret sauce incident, as it was now being called in classified government documents, Earth received its first official communication from the Galactic Council. Fletcher and his crew had been recalled to Earth, where they now sat in an uncomfortably warm conference room alongside military officials, politicians, and scientists who kept shooting them dirty looks. In my defense, Fletcher was saying, our ship's translator was programmed by the lowest bidder and an intern. General Harriet Blackwood, a stern woman with steel-gray hair and absolutely zero patience, silenced him with a glare. Save it, Fletcher. The aliens have made contact. The room's massive screen flickered to life, revealing a being that appeared to be a cross between a mantis and a peacock. Its iridescent exoskeleton gleamed under the lights of what was clearly a command bridge far more impressive than anything humans had built. Greetings, primitive warmongering species, the alien began in surprisingly good English. I am Captain Vex Terra of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. Your unprovoked declaration of hostilities has been noted and brought before the Council. Fletcher leaned toward Rodriguez. They learned English in 3 days? Actually, Rodriguez whispered back, the transmission metadata suggests they've been monitoring our broadcasts for decades. They probably know all about us. That was not comforting information. Vex Terra continued. After reviewing your capabilities and cultural transmissions, the Council has determined that, while you pose minimal technological threat, your species' apparent bloodlust and irrational behavior patterns make you dangerous, unpredictable elements in our ordered galaxy. The alien's head tilted in what might have been the equivalent of raised eyebrows. Your own historical documents display remarkable disregard for personal safety, physics, and logical problem-solving. Therefore, you are presented with 2 options: immediate surrender and acceptance of protected species status, or Vex Terra paused dramatically, mandibles clicking, annihilation. The room erupted into chaos until General Blackwood slammed her fist on the table. We need to respond. Fletcher, since you're the idiot who got us into this mess, any bright ideas on how to get us out? Fletcher was about to deliver a sarcastic retort when Rodriguez suddenly sat up straight. Wait, historical documents? Sir, I think they're referring to our cultural transmission. The meme compilation? What about it? Rodriguez's eyes widened. They think it's real. They think those clips are actual historical records. Wong snorted. So they watched someone chug hot sauce while jumping into a pool of ice water and thought, yes, this is definitely normal human behavior? Exactly, Rodriguez exclaimed. And remember what else was in that compilation? Action movie clips, superhero landings, those crazy stunt videos. Fletcher stared at her, then at the alien on screen, then back at Rodriguez. A slow, dangerous smile spread across his face. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? That we can use their mistaken belief about our entertainment being real to our advantage? Rodriguez matched his grin. Absolutely. General Blackwood looked between them with increasing alarm. Whatever you're planning, stop it. We need a diplomatic solution. With all due respect, General Fletcher said, diplomacy only works when both sides speak the same cultural language. These aliens already think we're violent and irrational. Maybe instead of correcting that misunderstanding, we lean into it, Rodriguez finished. On screen, Vexterra was growing impatient. We await your response, humans. You have 24 Earth hours to decide. Fletcher straightened his uniform and approached the transmitter. Captain Vexterra, this is Commander Fletcher. We request a brief extension while our world leaders consider your generous offer. In the meantime, perhaps you'd like to review more of our historical archives? To better understand who you're dealing with? There was a pause before Vexterra responded. That would be acceptable. Transmit your records. As the transmission ended, Blackwood rounded on Fletcher. What the hell are you playing at? Fletcher's smile was that of someone who had nothing left to lose. General, I think we just figured out how to win a war without firing a shot. We're going to show them a movie night they'll never forget. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the humans, Krill-X, the Galactic Council's most decorated intelligence officer, had been dispatched to observe Earth up close from his cloaked surveillance vessel. His mission: assess the true military capabilities of these strange new creatures before the Council committed to full-scale conflict. As he settled into orbit, his ship began automatically intercepting and cataloging Earth's broadcast signals. The first transmission he captured was a documentary about something called professional wrestling, featuring a muscular human shouting about laying the smackdown, before throwing another human through what appeared to be a solid wooden structure. Krill-X's color-shifting skin turned a pale shade of alarm. His report back to the Council that evening contained a single, urgent line: "The humans are even more terrifying than we thought." This is either the stupidest or most brilliant plan in human history, General Blackwood muttered as she watched Fletcher's crew transform the International Space Command's primary broadcast center into what essentially amounted to the world's most consequential movie theater. Marcus Wong was busy rigging up what he called an enhanced signal package that would ensure the alien observers received the clearest possible transmissions. "We want them to see every drop of fake blood, every explosion, every impossible stunt in glorious high definition," he explained, connecting cables with concerning enthusiasm. Dave Thompson had taken charge of content curation, his lifetime of consuming action movies finally proving useful for something other than trivia nights. "We start with the classics," he was explaining to a group of bemused government officials. "Die Hard, Rambo, The Terminator. Then we move to the modern stuff, the Fast and the Furious franchise, the Mission Impossible series, anything where humans survive things no reasonable being should survive." Penny Rodriguez was focusing on the subtle psychological elements. "We need to intersperse reality TV shows that feature extreme competitions. Make them think these are our training programs. American Ninja Warrior, Survivor, maybe some Fear Factor for good measure." Fletcher nodded approvingly. "The key is consistency. We need to create the impression that the average human regularly jumps from exploding buildings, survives multiple gunshot wounds, and can take down enemies 3 times their size." "And you really think they'll believe this nonsense?" Blackwood asked skeptically. "Think about it from their perspective," Fletcher countered. "They've observed us from a distance. They've seen our broadcasts but have no context for what's entertainment versus documentary. And humans do some objectively crazy stuff even in real life. Is it that much of a stretch to think we're all action heroes?" A junior officer approached with a tablet. "Sir, we've received confirmation that our historical archives transmission has begun reaching the Galactic Council ships. They appear to be consuming it enthusiastically." On the massive monitor displaying feeds from Earth's orbital satellites, they could see the alien vessels had maintained their threatening positions, but no new ships had arrived. It was the closest thing to good news they'd had since this disaster began. "All right, time for Phase 2, Fletcher announced. "If we're committed to making them think our entertainment is real, we need to stage some evidence. Wong, how's the special effects team coming along?" Wong grinned. "NASA and Hollywood's finest are working together as we speak. We've got drones ready to simulate training exercises that just happen to be visible from orbit. If our alien spy is watching, and we're betting they are, they'll see humans performing stunts that would make even an action star nervous." Thompson raised his hand. "I've also arranged for the broadcast of what appear to be classified military communications that just happen to get accidentally leaked into open channels. Stuff about our super soldiers and genetic enhancement programs. Rodriguez added, and I've prepared false translation overlays for all our transmissions that subtly enhance the threatening nature of everyday conversations. A cooking show about killing the heat becomes a discussion about our heat-resistant warriors. Fletcher nodded approvingly. Operation Bad Movie Night is officially underway. In his cloaked ship orbiting Earth, Krill X was having the worst day of his intelligence career. His 4 eyes were glued to the streams of human historical records, his exoskeleton trembling as he watched a lone human defeat an entire army using only primitive projectile weapons and quips. "This can't be real," he muttered, mandibles clicking nervously. But as he cross-referenced the behavior with the live observations his ship was recording, the evidence seemed damning. Below him, humans were engaging in activities that perfectly matched their historical records, leaping from great heights, deliberately exposing themselves to danger, death, and even subjecting themselves to what appeared to be ritualistic endurance trials. When his sensors detected a human on a narrow-wheeled board deliberately sliding down a metal rail several stories high, he nearly triggered his emergency evacuation protocol. "By the Council's wisdom," he whispered, routing a priority transmission to his superiors. "These creatures aren't just reckless, they're functionally immortal." Back on Earth, Fletcher received the news he'd been hoping for. Sir Rodriguez reported, "Our monitoring stations are picking up a massive uptick in encrypted transmissions between the alien vessels. They're talking about us, and they're talking a lot." "Good," Fletcher said, allowing himself a small smile. "Let's give them something really worth talking about." As night fell across North America, carefully choreographed training exercises kicked off across several military bases, each one specifically designed to be visible from orbit, and each one more ridiculously over the top than the last. Stunt performers hired from major film studios executed flaming vehicle jumps, staged hand-to-hand combat demonstrations that defied physics, and participated in what appeared to be casual tests of endurance that would kill any normal being. All of it broadcast on secure channels that were deliberately easy for the aliens to intercept. Operation Bad Movie Night was in full swing, and humanity's fate hung on the slender hope that aliens wouldn't recognize good special effects when they saw them. 1 week into Operation Bad Movie Night, the Galactic Council decided to test humanity's supposed capabilities. A small scout ship decloaked near the International Space Station with weapons powered but not locked on a clear provocation without immediate threat. The USS Questionable Decisions, and, having undergone a hasty refit that amounted to little more than a fresh coat of paint and some non-functional but impressive-looking exterior modifications, he was dispatched to handle the situation. "This is it, people," Fletcher addressed his crew as they approached the alien vessel. "Everything we've been building up to. If they're testing us, we need to respond in character as the death-defying, logic-ignoring species they think we are. But sir," Wong pointed out, "we still don't have functional shields, or weapons that could actually damage their hull. Or, well, anything that would help in a real confrontation." "Details, Wong. Details." Fletcher waved dismissively. "Rodriguez, are we still broadcasting on all channels?" "Yes, sir. Every major network on Earth is carrying this live, and our signal is being deliberately leaked to the alien monitoring systems." "Perfect. Thompson, take us in nice and reckless." Thompson grinned. "Unnecessarily dramatic approach pattern engaged, sir." The USS Questionable Decisions swooped toward the alien scout ship in a series of completely unnecessary barrel rolls and loops. Back on Earth, Mission Control was feeding them information about the alien vessel's blind spots based on previous observations. "Wong," Fletcher ordered, "prepare for Operation Make Stuff Up." "With pleasure, sir." Wong began typing furiously on his console, which now featured several imposing but completely non-functional extra screens for dramatic effect. As they approached the alien vessel, Fletcher activated the ship-to-ship communication. "Attention alien craft. This is Commander Jack Fletcher of Earth. You are encroaching on our territory. While we would normally just blow you to smithereens for such an offense, we're feeling uncharacteristically merciful today." The alien ship didn't respond immediately. Fletcher nodded to Wong, who pressed a button on his console. Outside, small panels on their ship's hull slid open, revealing what appeared to be weapon ports but were actually just elaborate light displays designed by the special effects team. "Sir," Rodriguez reported, "they're scanning us." "Perfect. Wong, activate the holographic weapon signatures." Just as planned, the alien scans would detect energy readings that mimicked weapons charging, all completely harmless, but impressively scary on sensor equipment. The alien ship finally responded, the transmission displaying a being with multiple eyes and a carapace that seemed to be trembling slightly. "Human vessel, we mean no harm. This is merely an observational mission." "Of course it is," Fletcher replied with his best impression of a villain from an action movie. "And I'm just observing how quickly you can leave our territory before I get creative." As if on cue, Wong accidentally triggered one of their special effects packages. A small, harmless plasma discharge erupted from their ship, effectively a space firework, but timed perfectly to create the impression that they'd fired a warning shot. The alien ship immediately powered up its engines. "Wait," Fletcher continued, channeling every over-the-top movie hero he'd ever seen. "Before you go, allow us to demonstrate a small sample of Earth's hospitality." He nodded to Thompson, who executed their planned malfunction, a completely controlled fuel dump that ignited in a spectacular but harmless display that made it appear as though their ship was on fire. "Oh no," Fletcher deadpanned for the alien audience. "We seem to be experiencing catastrophic engine failure." As the aliens watched in horror, the crew of the Questionable Decisions performed their rehearsed emergency procedures, which involved a lot of unnecessary running around and shouting while their ship appeared to be burning. Fletcher even managed to tear his uniform sleeve for added effect. "System's critical," Wong yelled with Oscar-worthy delivery. "We're going to lose the antimatter containment field." The alien ship immediately retreated to a safe distance, exactly as planned. Then came the piece de resistance. Thompson piloted their burning ship in a maneuver that should have been impossible, even for a fully functional vessel, extinguishing the flames through a series of rapid rotations that starved them of oxygen. "Would you look at that?" Fletcher remarked casually to the still open channel with the alien ship. "Problem solved. Now, as I was saying about you leaving our territory." The alien scout ship accelerated away at maximum speed. When they were sure they were alone, the bridge crew erupted into cheers. "I can't believe that worked," Rodriguez exclaimed. "Believe it?" Fletcher replied, grinning. "And the best part? Every news network on Earth just broadcast that performance to the entire planet." He was right. Within hours, governments worldwide were fielding calls from media outlets, citizens, and military personnel, all wanting to participate in what was quickly becoming a global improvisational theater production. In Beijing, military units began conducting exercises that featured soldiers performing choreographed martial arts routines that made them appear superhuman. In London, the SAS accidentally leaked footage of training exercises that had been heavily edited to make their soldiers look indestructible. NASA rushed to deploy a series of experimental satellites that were really just elaborate props designed to convince the aliens that humans had technology far beyond their actual capabilities. The entire planet had become a stage, and every human a performer in the most important show ever produced. Drill X, watching from his cloaked ship, was filing increasingly panicked reports to the Galactic Council. "The humans survived catastrophic ship failure without apparent concern," his latest update read. "Their warriors regularly engage in training that should kill them. Their entertainment, which I now suspect may actually be documentary footage, suggests they have faced multiple extinction-level events and emerged stronger each time. Further direct confrontation is not recommended." The Galactic Council, now thoroughly unnerved by humanity's apparent abilities, decided it was time for a more significant test. If humans were as formidable as they appeared, the Council needed to know before committing to full-scale conflict. They dispatched their ultimate weapon, a ship known as the Planet Cracker, with instructions to conduct a limited demonstration of force. Not enough to seriously damage Earth, but enough to gauge the human response. They had no way of knowing they were playing directly into humanity's elaborately constructed bluff. The Planet Cracker's arrival in Earth's solar system did not go unnoticed. Its massive form, eclipsing Earth's moon in size, appeared suddenly just beyond Mars, having emerged from what scientists could only describe as a dimensional fold. Within minutes, every telescope, satellite, and backyard astronomer had captured images of the behemoth. It was, without exaggeration, the most terrifying thing humans had ever seen, a vessel clearly designed for one purpose: planetary destruction. In the hastily assembled war room beneath the Pentagon, Fletcher and his crew sat alongside world leaders, generals, and the top minds in science and entertainment. "Well," Fletcher said into the stunned silence, "this might be a slight escalation from their scout ship." General Blackwood's expression was grim. "Our most powerful nuclear weapons would be like firecrackers against that thing. If they decide to attack for real instead of just testing us, there's nothing we can actually do to stop them." "Then we don't stop them," Fletcher replied. "We convince them they can't stop us." The room turned to him. "We've come this far with our bluff. Time to go all in." He turned to Wang. "Remember that experimental device you were working on before this crisis? The one that got you nearly court-martialed?" Wang blinked. "The quantum field oscillator? But sir, that thing doesn't actually work. It was just a theoretical concept I was tinkering with. All it does is create an impressive light show and drain power grids." "Exactly." Fletcher grinned. "It's all about perception. Rodriguez, get me everything we have on that alien ship's capabilities. Thompson, I need you to plot an intercept course that makes absolutely no tactical sense but looks fantastic on sensors." As the planet Cracker moved into position near Earth's moon, a communication came through on all frequencies. A being that appeared to be composed of shifting geometric shapes appeared on screen. "People of Earth. I am Grand Admiral Zev Nar of the Galactic Council's Enforcement Division. Your species has been deemed too unpredictable and dangerous to permit unrestricted development. This demonstration will show you the futility of resistance." Without further warning, the planet Cracker fired a beam of energy at Earth's moon. The impact wasn't enough to destroy the satellite, but it carved a trench across the lunar surface visible to the naked eye from Earth. A clear demonstration of power. Panic rippled across Earth, but in the war room, Fletcher was oddly calm. "Sir," Rodriguez reported, "they're scanning us intensively. Looking for our response, I imagine." "Then let's not disappoint them," Fletcher replied. "Wang, is your useless device ready for its moment of glory?" Wang nodded nervously. "Installed in the Questionable Decisions as requested, sir. It'll create a spectacular light show, cause localized electromagnetic disruptions, and probably fry our own systems in the process." "Perfect. Let's move." Within the hour, the USS Questionable Decisions, now outfitted with more special effects than a blockbuster movie, launched from Earth. As a show of bravado, Fletcher had insisted on a daytime launch visible to millions, with news cameras capturing every moment. "This is either going to save our planet or ensure we go down as the biggest fools in soon-to-be extinct human history," he muttered as they accelerated toward the massive alien vessel. The plan was elaborate but simple in concept. Approach the planet Cracker as if they were equipped to destroy it, activate Wang's device to create an impressive but harmless display, and hope the aliens' own sensors misinterpreted the results in their favor. Meanwhile, Earth's militaries had coordinated a synchronized launch of every space-capable vessel they possessed, mostly satellites, and small research craft, none of which posed any threat whatsoever but collectively created an impressive swarm on sensors. USS Questionable Decisions to planet Cracker, Fletcher broadcast as they approached. "That was a lovely demonstration. Allow us to respond in kind." The alien vessel didn't immediately fire, which Fletcher took as a good sign. They were curious, exactly as he'd hoped. "Wang, status of operation way too dramatic?" "Ready when you are, sir." "The device is primed and the special effects team's packages are all in place." "Rodriguez, make sure we're broadcasting on all frequencies. I want both Earth and the aliens to see every second of this." "Already done, sir. We're the most watched program in human history right now." Fletcher took a deep breath. "Thompson, take us into position, right into their targeting array, just like we discussed." You mean directly into the path of their giant planet-destroying weapon? With pleasure, sir. The small human vessel positioned itself in what would be, in any actual military scenario, the most suicidally stupid location possible, directly in front of the planet cracker's main weapon. On the command deck of the alien vessel, Grand Admiral Zev Nar watched with all four of his eye clusters. They're positioning for an attack? With that tiny vessel? Scan them again. His science officer's appendages trembled as they worked the console. Admiral, I'm detecting energy readings unlike anything in our database. They appear to be channeling power into some form of... The translator has no word for it. The closest concept is reality disruption device. Impossible, Zev Nar hissed. No species at their development stage could possess such technology. Back on the questionable decisions, Fletcher gave the order. Wong lighted up. Thompson, initiate evasive pattern, totally unnecessary but looks cool. Wong activated his failed experiment, and as predicted, it created a spectacular display of light and energy that momentarily disrupted all systems on the human ship and sent cascading electromagnetic pulses in all directions. Thompson, despite temporarily losing control of navigation, managed to spin their ship in a series of loops that, completely by accident, avoided the planet cracker's hastily fired defensive measures. What the aliens saw was a small vessel somehow absorbing incredible amounts of energy, performing maneuvers that defied physics, and appearing to prepare some kind of devastating counterstrike. What was actually happening was a series of increasingly desperate improvisations as the questionable decisions began to fall apart around its crew. Sir, Wong shouted over the sound of actual, non-staged alarms. The primary power coupling is overloading. We've got maybe 2 minutes before we lose life support. Perfect timing, Fletcher replied, somehow maintaining his calm. Rodriguez, broadcast the final message. Thompson, plot a course directly at their main weapon array. Are you insane? Thompson yelped. Probably. Do it anyway. As their failing ship accelerated toward the planet cracker, Fletcher broadcast his final bluff. Attention, alien vessel. You have witnessed only a fraction of our capability. Your scans have confirmed what you feared: humans possess technology your science cannot comprehend. We've analyzed your weapon and found it quaint. You have 30 seconds to power down and retreat. Or we will be forced to demonstrate what happens when humans actually try. On the alien vessel, panic ensued. Their sensors, confused by the electromagnetic disruption, were showing impossible readings from the human ship. Energy patterns that shouldn't exist, materials that defied analysis, and most alarmingly, what appeared to be a cascading reaction building toward critical levels. They're going to ram us with some kind of interdimensional weapon. The science officer screamed. Grand Admiral Zev Nar made the only logical decision based on the information at hand. Retreat. Open a fold passage now. The massive planet cracker, pride of the Galactic Council's fleet, began powering up its dimensional drive as the tiny, failing human vessel continued its approach. In the final seconds before their ship lost power completely, the crew of the questionable decisions watched in disbelief as the enormous alien vessel simply disappeared, folding away into whatever dimension it had emerged from. There was a moment of stunned silence on the bridge before Wong broke it. Did we just win? By being so terrible at space combat that we confused them into thinking we were actually brilliant? Fletcher slumped in his chair, allowing himself to finally show his exhaustion. I think we did. Now, someone please tell me we have enough power left to get home, or this is going to be a very short victory celebration. As if on cue, the backup systems engaged, providing just enough thrust to begin limping back toward Earth, where 7 billion humans had just witnessed what appeared to be their ramshackle military vessel drive off the most powerful alien weapon ever encountered. Operation Bad Movie Night had reached its climactic final scene. And somehow, against all logic, the heroes had won. 3 months after the planet cracker incident, the USS Questionable Decisions, now completely rebuilt and upgraded to look even more impressive while being only marginally more functional, hovered in orbit as Earth's designated diplomatic vessel. On the bridge, now featuring intentionally over-designed control panels and gratuitous mood lighting, Commander Fletcher adjusted his new uniform set, which included several meaningless medals created specifically to impress the aliens. "Status report?" he asked, trying not to smirk at how serious everyone was pretending to be. "The Galactic Council delegation will dock in 5 minutes," Rodriguez replied. "All theatrical systems are functioning perfectly." "And the actual ship systems?" Wong gave a thumbs up. "About 60% operational, which is a 40% improvement over our last mission." "Progress." Fletcher nodded approvingly. "Thompson, is our escape pod ready just in case?" "Fueled and programmed with your personal in case everything goes horribly wrong escape route, sir." "Excellent. Remember, people, we're no longer just a crew, we're actors in humanity's greatest performance. Let's make it convincing." The airlock hissed open, and Captain Vex Terra entered the bridge, accompanied by 2 other alien representatives. Fletcher noted with satisfaction that they still moved cautiously, eyes darting around as if expecting humans to start defying physics at any moment. "Commander Fletcher." Vex Terra's mandibles clicked, and what had been explained was a sign of respect. "The Galactic Council is prepared to formalize the peace treaty and non-aggression pact as discussed." "Wonderful news," Fletcher replied, gesturing to a conference room off the bridge that had been carefully designed to look like a set from a science fiction movie. "Shall we?" As they moved to the conference room, Fletcher noticed one of the alien delegates, a being that appeared to be made primarily of translucent tentacles, studying him closely. "Is something wrong, delegate?" Sore Bix, the alien supplied. "And no, nothing is wrong. I am merely fascinated by humans. Your species continues to defy our understanding." Fletcher maintained his diplomatic smile. "We're an unconventional bunch." The treaty signing proceeded with elaborate ceremony, broadcast live to both Earth and, according to Rodriguez, at least 47 alien worlds. The terms were, by any objective measure, ridiculously favorable to Earth: protection from hostile species, limited technology exchange, and recognition of humanity's sovereignty over not just Earth but the entire solar system. All because the Galactic Council was terrified of provoking the species that had apparently scared off a planet cracker with a single, small vessel. As the formal proceedings concluded, Vex Terra requested a private word with Fletcher. "Commander," the alien said once they were alone, "there's something I've been meaning to ask you." Fletcher kept his expression neutral. "Of course. These historical records your species provided, the ones showing humans surviving impossible scenarios, defying death regularly, and possessing what appears to be supernatural luck." Fletcher felt a bead of sweat form on his forehead. "Yes? What did they?" Vex Terra's head tilted, mandibles clicking softly. "They're not all strictly accurate representations of typical human capabilities, are they?" There was a long pause as Fletcher considered his options. Denial seemed pointless now that the treaty was signed, but admitting the full extent of the deception might create complications. Finally, he opted for a half-truth. "Let's just say humans have a flair for the dramatic when recounting our adventures." To his surprise, Vex Terra made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. "I suspected as much. Not immediately, of course. Your performance was quite convincing. But after studying your species more closely, certain inconsistencies became apparent." "And yet you signed the treaty anyway?" "Of course." Vex Terra's compound eyes gleamed with what might have been amusement. "Do you know what's more terrifying than a species with godlike powers? It's a species with the audacity to pretend they have godlike powers when confronted with a force that could annihilate them." Fletcher felt his mouth go dry. "I'm not sure I follow." "Any species could choose to fight," Vex Terra continued, gesturing with a limb that resembled a cross between a claw and a feather. "Many would hide, some might beg. But humans?" The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Humans looked at a planet cracker and decided to bluff." "That's not exactly." "No, Commander, let me finish." Vex Terra's translator rendered the alien's voice with what sounded like genuine respect. Your Earth films, the ones you claimed were documentaries, we've analyzed them extensively. They're creative works, designed to entertain, not historical records. And yet, when faced with extinction, your species' instinct was to weaponize your own imagination. Fletcher remained silent, unsure whether to feel relieved or terrified. The Galactic Council has encountered over 3,000 intelligent species, Vex Terra continued. Not one of them would have attempted what you did. Most logical beings would consider it suicidal. But it worked, Fletcher offered with a slight shrug. Precisely. Vex Terra's compound eyes seemed to focus more intently. And that is why the treaty stands. Because a species that would rather die inventively than surrender conventionally is precisely the kind of species the Council prefers to have as allies rather than enemies. Fletcher allowed himself a small smile. So you're saying our insanity is our greatest diplomatic asset? I believe your species calls it thinking outside the box. Though in your case, I'm not convinced you're aware there is a box. Vex Terra produced a small device from somewhere within its exoskeleton. This is for you, a personal communication link to the Council. For emergencies only, of course. Fletcher accepted it cautiously. Thank you. And one more thing, Commander. Vex Terra leaned closer, voice lowering to a whisper, despite the fact they were alone. Some of the younger Council members have begun watching your historical records for entertainment. They're particularly fond of something called Die Hard. Would it be possible to acquire more of these documentaries? Fletcher fought to keep his expression serious. I believe that can be arranged. Excellent. Vex Terra straightened, resuming a more formal posture. The Council has also approved a cultural exchange program. We would like to send observers to learn more about how humans exist. We'd be delighted to host them, Fletcher replied, already imagining the chaos that would ensue when aliens tried to understand human social dynamics. Though I should warn you, what you've seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg. Iceberg? On a metaphor. It means there's much more to discover beneath the surface. Fascinating. Vex Terra's mandibles clicked in what Fletcher had come to recognize as excitement. Our xenoanthropologists are already developing theories about human societal structures. For instance, these action heroes in your documentaries, they appear to be your species' ruling caste, correct? Fletcher coughed to hide his laughter. Something like that. As they walked back to rejoin the others, Fletcher's communicator buzzed. It was a message from Admiral Peters. Well done. Keep it up. P.S. Unapproves Phase 2. Operation Hollywood Diplomacy is now active. Fletcher smiled. Peace through preposterous propaganda, indeed. 6 months later, the cultural exchange program was in full swing. The USS Questionable Decisions had been refitted yet again, this time to serve as a touring vessel for alien dignitaries eager to experience authentic human culture. Fletcher, now promoted to captain, stood on the observation deck, watching as Rodriguez led a group of fascinated aliens through a carefully choreographed demonstration of typical human reflexes, which basically involved Rodriguez performing gymnastics that would make Olympic athletes jealous while pretending it was completely normal. They're completely buying it, Wong whispered, joining him at the window. The Meribian ambassador just asked if all humans can catch projectiles without looking. What did Rodriguez tell them? That it develops around puberty, but some of us bloom late. Fletcher chuckled. Any word from Thompson's group? They're in the holodeck watching The Fast and the Furious. The Quarksian delegation is convinced it's a documentary about Earth's transportation rituals. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a junior officer. Captain, we've received a priority message from Earth. Admiral Peters says Operation Hollywood Diplomacy has exceeded all expectations. 3 previously hostile species have requested peace talks after viewing something called Predator. Fletcher raised an eyebrow. They watched a movie about an alien hunter being defeated by a human and decided to make peace. Apparently they found it terrifying, sir. The Admiral says the Zarkovian ambassador specifically requested to never encounter the human designated Schwarzenegger. Fletcher turned back to the observation window, watching as Rodriguez now pretended that balancing on one finger was something humans did when stretching. You know, he said thoughtfully, when I joined Starfleet, I never imagined my most important mission would involve convincing aliens that action movies are real. Wong grinned. What was that Earth saying? Truth is stranger than fiction? In our case, Fletcher replied, watching an alien tentatively attempt to mimic Rodriguez's impossible pose, fiction turned out to be the best diplomatic strategy in human history. As if on cue, his personal communicator, the one Vexterra had given him, lit up with an incoming message. Captain Fletcher. The Council has reviewed the latest batch of human historical records. We are particularly interested in discussing something called John Wick. Please advise if all human writing implements are equally lethal, or if this is a specialized skill. Fletcher typed back, results may vary. Recommend diplomatic gift baskets include no pencils as a precaution. As he sent the message, Fletcher couldn't help but wonder how long humanity could maintain this charade. But then again, perhaps it wasn't entirely a charade anymore. In preparing to deceive the aliens, humans had pushed themselves to new heights, developing technologies and capabilities they might never have pursued otherwise. Maybe, he thought with amusement, the greatest trick humanity ever pulled wasn't convincing aliens that humans were superhuman. It was accidentally becoming a little more superhuman in the process. Captain, the communications officer called out. Earth is sending us the next cultural package for the Galactic Council representatives. What's included this time? The officer consulted her screen and grinned. Mission Impossible, all the Marvel movies, and something called Pacific Rim. Fletcher nodded approvingly. Perfect. Tell Admiral Peters we'll need more escape pods.